My first depressive episode was not at when I became bipolar. Um, you may or may not know that when someone has bipolar disorder and has a manic episode, it's almost 100% chance that they're going to have a depressive episode after that for many reasons. There's shame, there's guilt, there's simply the physical letdown and release, because when someone's manic, they're extremely energetic and on top of the world, etc. So I was thinking about this last week, and I thought, okay, well, my first major depressive episode was after I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And actually, that's not true. When I look back at my life, my first major depressive episode happened when I was 12. And at that time, I was not diagnosed with anything. I didn't really even know about depression. All I knew is that people felt down at times. And what happened when I was 12 is my father passed away of colon cancer. He passed away August 6th, 1985. And, that summer for me is kind of a fog. I remember going to the hospital to see my dad. I remember my dad being at our home for part of that time and having nurses come in to check on him and look after him. I do remember my dad got transferred to our hometown hospital in Selkirk, Manitoba, and that's where he passed away on August 6th. But I don't really remember much about that summer. I just remember, like I say, being in this fog. And I do know that that fall, in September, a month later, I started at a new school, a junior high school. And fortunately, when I was young, and even now, I was into a lot of sports. So when I started at the junior high, I was playing volleyball. I was doing all kinds of other activities at recess. I was still involved with other sports outside of school. And, I can honestly say that sports really, really helped me. Looking back now, I do know that 1985 was a much different time and place than now. And, it would have been beneficial for me to talk with a child psychologist or a therapist or a counselor. But, in 1985, I don't know if many people were doing that. Maybe some people were, but in my area with my family upbringing, that wasn't common. So, it wasn't until I was an adult about 10 years ago that I'd fully worked through the grief cycle of my dad's death. And that was from a number of tools and people that I met with. One of the biggest things that helped me in moving fully through the grief cycle was having some sessions with a native healer, my friend Leonard. And I had a number of sessions with therapists and counselors and psychologists and psychiatrists, and did some reading and journaling and research on my own. So, I'm grateful to say that I fully moved through it. That being said, it took, over 20 years for me to fully deal with my father's death. So that's my first depressive episode, was when I was 12. And like I say, at that time, I didn't have any depression or diagnosis or anything like that. I do know, looking back at that time, the 2020 vision and hindsight, that I definitely had depression when I was 12. So with this being Mental Health Week, I'll be doing a number of live videos this week talking about my experiences. For those of you who enjoy these videos and are getting some out of it, I'd greatly appreciate a reaction or a comment. And if you know anyone in your life who suffers from depression or bipolar disorder, definitely consider sharing this video with them. I'd greatly appreciate it. So thanks for watching, and take care.